House and Senate Republicans are kind of in the middle of a panic right now, and it has to do with money, particularly the massive money gap, the growing money gap between them and the Democrat candidates on the Senate and the House side. So recently, the leader of House Republicans' biggest super PAC told donors he needed $35 million more to compete with Democrats in the fall. Senate GOP campaign chair Steve Daines used his primetime speaking slot at the RNC to lament that massive spending from Democrats was keeping him awake at night. And his House GOP counterpart warned that their party's challengers trailed Democratic incumbents by a collective $37 million at the end of June. And there's a lot of stuff in that paragraph that I love, but the best word is June, because they were trailing a bunch a couple of months ago. That's when Biden was the nominee. That's when Democrats weren't really excited about this. They weren't really enthused. Vibes were low at that point. And obviously, since Kamala Harris became the nominee and you got Harris out there and you got Walz out there, there's a new flood of enthusiasm. And that is not just in the form of being eager or something like that, or even registering to vote or volunteering. It's that they have raised an absolute ton of money. And we're gonna give you an idea of how significant that money is. It's actually kind of funny how much money it is.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
First, I want to give you some more information about the position that the Republicans find themselves in. So here is the executive director of the National Republican Senatorial Committee saying the only thing preventing us from having a great night in November is the massive financial disparity our party currently faces. We're on a trajectory to win the majority, but unless something changes drastically in the next 6 weeks, we will lose winnable seats. And remember, the battle for the Senate is a pretty tight thing. Now, it's harder for the Democrats than the Republicans, but if the Republicans are giving up winnable seats, they're probably giving up the Senate at this point. And I want to show you some of the polling for the Senate. It's looking pretty bluish these days. Now, not in all of the cases. We reported earlier this week on the situation in Montana, but in a lot of those cases, maybe a few $1 million could help to turn around some of those polling numbers. And there is money to be spent in those races, but unfortunately, it's probably not gonna go to the Republicans. A lot of it is, though, going to the Democrats, because Kamala Harris has raised so much money that she is now handing $25 million of it to other campaigns. So since late July, way after that June quote I gave you, she's raised more than $540 million. And they're spending up a storm, obviously, on their campaign, but they have extra money. And so $10 million is going to the Senate Democrats running, 10 is going to the House Democrats. You also have for state races and governors and attorney generals races, they're giving money, and hopefully there will be more of this. Now, this isn't like the first time this has ever happened, but it shows both the extra strength they have in their fundraising, but also the priorities where they want to help out these other campaigns. On the other hand, do you recall what Laura Trump was saying when she was made the head of the RNC? All of the spending is going to Donald Trump. That could be going to these other races and could be helping them in their quest to take over the Senate and the House. No, it all goes to the God Emperor, whereas thankfully in this case, Kamala Harris is helping these other races. What do you think, Sharon?
I think it's brilliant that the money's rolling in. I think there are a lot of Republicans who have thankfully decided it's time to check their party affiliation and go with country first. And they'll get back to hopefully a restoration of their conservative values in their party, saying we got to come together. So I think it's wonderful that, particularly the fact that she's now giving Kamala Harris and the campaign money, some of these down ballots, because it's needed. I happen to know a representative here in Georgia, Shay Roberts, who is liberal and focused and about reproductive rights and is enthusiastic, fingers crossed, hopeful that she can, with the money she's raised, give it to other candidates who are blue and take over. This is scary because I'm in Georgia here. The House and the Senate, the Gold Dome here in Georgia, it would mean everything, okay? Catch them while they're sleeping. We'll see how nasty it gets because it's, not ever gonna over my dead body type of stuff down here under the Confederate monuments. But I think it's lovely. And yeah, it'd be great if on a national level, the Senate is gone. Mitch McConnell has already said toodles. It'd be great.
That would be great. I share the hope for the future Georgia that you've sketched out there. I mean, obviously, there's been some positive things over the last few cycles. It's still difficult. There's still big areas of Georgia that are a whole thing. I mean, obviously, they've given us Marjorie Greene, but yeah, I would love to see investment in there and in the Senate races and in the House races, but also, yeah, taking over some of these state legislatures. There hasn't been sufficient investment in that in a long time. And that really matters for the lives of the vast majority of the people in America. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.